Hey, you bit Steve from that old Yorkshire geek, and welcome to me. What day is it? It's this Sunday, isn't it? Yeah. Welcome to my Sunday live news stream, where I've just picked out some newsy articles to have a look at. Before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you subscribed already. We're live on YouTube, so let me double check, make sure we are. Yep, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Rumble. Got to refresh this for some reason. It doesn't just come on. You've got to refresh it and then press play. Come on. Come on, then. You're coming on, then. What? You frightful thing. See, I'm going to refresh this again. Are we having problems with Rumble again? Looks like it. Oh, no, we're on. We're on. We're live on Rumble. And we're live on Twitch. Yes, we are. We are live on Twitch. There we go. Right. So, just let me share that. Just let me share that. Might get me a couple more followers. I've got 4 followers on Twitch now. Oh dear. I think. Just double check, make sure it still says 4. Yes, it still says 4. Cool. 4 whole followers. Right. So where were we? So we're live on all those. Later on, I'll upload it to Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. I'll also add timestamps to the links that are in the description down below. So you can, if you watch it later, you can go backwards and forwards between the news stories, if that is your want. I'm also on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Links for those in the description, as the links to my 2 books and other stuff as well. Right. So let's get on with this news. Let's get on with it. Make myself titchy tiny. And, oh, hang on, put this full screen, and then we'll get on with it. Right, there we go. Right, off we go. Right, first up is from what do you call it? Bounding into comics. So, entertainment industry analyst speculates Daredevil Born Again was publicly scrapped to head off Nelson Peltz's takeover of Disney. Oh, let's see. This Nelson Peltz is like some like a speculator sort of chap, investor into. And rumors are he wants to take over Disney or get a large shareholder stake of Disney or whatever. Right, entertainment industry analyst Andre, I'm probably going to mispronounce his name, but you know him as Boss Man Andre from Midnight's Edge. Andre Einherjar, apologies, Andre, speculates that the reason why the Walt Disney Company and Marvel Studios publicly scrapped Daredevil Born Again was to head off a potential takeover by Nelson Peltz. It hasn't been scrapped, has it? It's gone back. Essentially, it's gone back to the drawing board, hasn't it? But apparently, it's still coming, but just with new directors and writers, or a new director and writers. Anyway, Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company publicly scrapped Daredevil Born Again in an expose with The Hollywood Reporter, where they also revealed they were restructuring their entire Marvel TV division. In the report from The Hollywood Reporter's Boris Kitt, it was revealed that the show's writers, Chris Ord and Matt Corman, as well as its directors, were being removed from the project, and the studio was planning a significant creative reboot of the series. And there he is in She-Hulk. On top of this, Kit revealed the new restructuring as well. Showrunners will write pilots and show Bibles. About time. The days of Marvel shooting an entire series from She-Hulk to Secret Invasion, then looking at what's working and what's not, are done. Yay. Miss pilots. I miss feature-length pilots, which were essentially TV movies, because they'd do them, wouldn't they? They'd do a pilot for a TV series, and it'd be like a little movie. But then if they liked it and it was successful, they'd go on to the series. But if it wasn't, they'd just call them they'd just be like standalone TV movies of the week sort of thing, wouldn't they? Anyway, where are we? They also plan on hiring seasoned full-time TV executives to run their TV operations instead of borrowing from their film division. Yeah, because they don't know how to make TV shows. Same in Lucasfilm, Star Wars. They don't know how to make TV shows. They have no idea. Marvel's head of streaming, television, and animation, Brad Winderbaum, informed Kit it's a term, showrunner, we've not only grown comfortable with, but also learned to embrace. He added, we need executives that are dedicated to this medium, that are going to focus on streaming, focus on television because they are two different forms. As far as his overall outlook with these changes, he explained, we're trying to marry the Marvel culture with the traditional television culture. It comes down to how can we tell stories in television that honour what's so great about the source material. Source material? Marvel mentioning source material? Ah, blimey, maybe they are making changes. But married Marvel culture with the traditional television culture. So maybe we'll get episodes that are, a proper length and, maybe have in acts. Traditional TV generally has like 3 or 4 acts in a um, an episode, doesn't it? Because they've got to allow for ad breaks and things, haven't they? So the like is it like 7 minutes or something between ad breaks? There's usually to allow something like that, isn't it? So you to write it essentially write a TV show in chunks, little chunks of action, aren't you? That kind of make sense in and of themselves, but part of a whole. Anyway, this public scrapping came in the wake of a CNBC report noting that Peltz and his Trian Fund management company were reigniting a potential proxy war with Disney less than a year after dropping the initial battle. The CNBC report revealed that Peltz and Trian had increased its stake to roughly 30 million shares, valued at more than $2.5 billion. It's just like made up numbers, in it? For people like, you and me, it's just like made up numbers. Anyway, but not for them, obviously, but for us, it's numbers that we have no idea. No, we can't contemplate how vast these numbers are. It's like counting the stars in the sky. Anyway, and that the firm plans to push for or grains of sand on the beach. And that the firm plans to push for multiple board seats. In the firm's previous proxy battle, they only wanted a seat for Peltz, and there he is. Reacting to this news, entertainment industry analyst and the founder of the Midnight's Edge YouTube channel, Andre and apologies, Andre, Bossman Andre, posited without the threat of a new proxy fight, Marvel would have done this quietly and behind the scenes. Sure, they may have announced the new writers, but they would have done it in a way where they would have sounded like they had been there all along. It doesn't mention a thing of Frankensteinian. Anyway, whatever. He then provided an example, case in point, both Ms. Marvel and the upcoming Echo and the Agatha All Along series were all subject to so extensive reshoots that they might as well have redone the whole thing. Essentially, yeah. And Echo is just getting dumped all at once, isn't it? The binge model. A series which nobody asked for, same as the Agatha All Along. A series nobody wanted, but Marvel somehow thought that the memes after that episode of WandaVision, it was Agatha all along, and the people wanted a series with her. But it didn't. Apologies for picking my nose. And nobody wanted an Echo series either. But we're getting one. Anyway. Andre then posited, I submit that the only reason that Disney publicly admits that they are in the process of retooling Daredevil, apologies, and in the process also tacitly admitting that their plan failed and they don't really know what to do instead, is showing Nelson Peltz, Trian, and their shareholders that they know that they've screwed up, but they're taking active measures to fix it. And some of those measures may be rather drastic, he asserted. From there, Andre, I'm just going to say Andre, shares that other Marvel Studios projects might be on the chopping block, he states. Others, however, might not be so lucky. The aforementioned Echo and Agatha All Along series have already been subjected to extensive reshoots, yet they are allegedly still awful. The rumour is they wanted to get rid of Echo, they wanted to do like a Batwoman, that film that DC shelved. For tax reasons, they wanted to do that with Echo, but apparently legally, for some legal reasons, they couldn't. They're forced to release it, but they're doing it, all at once in one go instead of weekly, just to get it out of the way. Anyway, where were we? That would be because they were exclusively made for ESG and DEI purposes. Oh, that's the woke mob. Diversity in exclude. Oh. My brain stopped working. Them anyway. Not because the character, not because the character deserved the series, or because there was. I'm losing it. I am. Or because there was a story need for them, and certainly not because there was any kind of public demand for them, which there wasn't. Quite the contrary. No, nobody wanted it. There's also this is also true for Ironheart, who we first saw in the female Black Panther, keep the water Mexicans out of Wakanda forever, which I've still not seen. Still not seen that film. Like Secret Invasion, the only thing any of these series can do for the Marvel brand is to damage it. So what can Marvel do to avoid that brand damage? Honestly, only one thing, and that is to scrap them all. And there's a very real chance they just might do this. I don't think they can with Echo. I think, as I said, I think legally, now it's done and in the can, I think they've got to release it in some form, I think. From there, Andre cites Scooper, My Time to Shine Hello, who posited earlier this month that Feige is cancelling all the shows. The man has lost his mind and his touch. And there's the tweet /X, whatever you want to call it. Interestingly, My Time to Shine Hello is not the only source that Marvel TV shows will be scrapped. MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios. People are talking about this book a lot, aren't they, recently? MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios by Joanna Robinson, recently did an appearance on the Watch podcast to promote the new book and asserted, after we heard about Daredevil, I've also heard, again, the Watch scoop, but also don't sort me. What are you talking about? Dubious sources necessarily that they are trashing. Is this English? That they are trashing the Wonder Man project? I didn't even know there was one. There's a lot of stuff that is going to go in the can. Right. I didn't even know they were doing a Wonder. Oh no. Yes, I think I mentioned it, didn't I? A few weeks ago. And I think I said then I didn't know they were doing that. Anyway, that didn't make any sense whatsoever, did it, that sentence? That was just some weird word salad. Don't know what happened there. But that Wonder Man looks cool, I must admit. That comic cover looks weird. Right, Andre then reiterates that drastic measures such as scrapping much of Marvel's TV slate need to be made because shareholders will not be fooled any longer. That is why Iger and his cronies obviously realised that if they keep on pretending that everything is awesome, to quote the Lego movie, when the shareholders can plainly see that it's not, well, then the shareholders just might rebel and boot them all out and turn the Bob Iger company into the Nelson Peltz company. And there's Bob Iger and somebody else. Who is he with? Alan Bergman. Blah, blah, blah. What do you make of that? Right, very good. So, yeah, anyway, yeah. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I think he's going to make his play, his Nelson Peltz, within the next year or so, I think. And probably take over the company somehow. Force Bob Iger out and get new management in. I think that's what's going to happen. Because they need to start making money and they're just losing money as Disney, hand over fist. So there we go. And apologies to Andre for butchering his the pronunciation of his name. Right, let's move on. Let's move on. Bit of Rebel Moon next. Bit of Rebel Moon. I'm still looking forward to. Just check, make sure everything's still hunky dory. Yep. Right, Zack Snyder announces Rebel Moon prequel with a sneak preview. There's a very striking young lady. Zack Snyder's science fiction epic Rebel Moon is getting a comic prequel after the film's release. Excited to announce that the Rebel Moon universe is expanding beyond the screen with a prequel comic series, the director announced on X, formerly Twitter. Rebel Moon, House of the Blood Axe, will take place 5 years before the events of the upcoming movie and put the spotlight on outlaw revolutionaries Devra, Cleopatra Coleman, and Darian Bloodaxe Ray Fisher. Not very Star Wars sounding names, are they? Because it was supposed to be a Star Wars thing, wasn't it? But he's obviously changed it around. Rebel Moon tells the story of Cora Sophia Boutella, a fighter who teams up with warriors across the universe to take on the corrupt forces of the Imperium. What, them wrestlers from WWE? Gunther and all them. The Netflix film first began as Snyder's pitch to Lucasfilm for a new Star Wars spin-off, but later evolved into its own world. The movie features a stacked cast, including Boutella, Fisher, Coleman, Michael, or is it just pronounced Michael? I'll say Michael, Michael Huisman, Jimon Honsu, Jenna Malone, Ed Screen, Fra Free, and Anthony Hopkins. With an estimated budget of $166 million, the film is the first of a two-part story. Do you think Netflix will get that $166 million back in new subscriptions? Don't know. The trailer for Rebel Moon was released this month, showing off the impressive world building from Snyder. I've still not seen, though. I want to see, if it's supposed to be a Star Wars project, I want to see a space battle, which we haven't seen, have we, in any of the trailers? Not that I noticed. I wonder if there's going to be one in it. We've seen spaceships and stuff, but we haven't seen, like, space, giving it all that, have we? But anyway. After Rebel Moon, subtitled Part 1, A Child of Fire, arrives on Netflix, Snyder's world expands in a new comic book series from writer Mags Visaggio. I think I've heard of her. I think Az might have something to say about this then. Transformers versus the Visionaries, artist Clark Bint, Murder Most Mundane, and colours from Francesco Segala, House of Slaughter. Rebel Moon, House of the Blood Axe, is based on a story from Zack Snyder, with the filmmaker collaborating with writer Mags Visaggio in planning the prequel world. The four-part comic series focuses on a war brewing on the planet Shasu. The series sees Darian Bloodaxe, sounds like a Viking, doesn't it? Confronting his complicated legacy while trying to keep the peace on his home world. However, with a war on the horizon, he will have little time to figure things out. I'm excited to collaborate with Mags to explore the rich and complex backstory of the Bloodaxe siblings Snyder shared in the press release. In Rebel Moon, House of the Bloodaxe, fans will get to discover their motivation as well as the genesis of the rebellion. Meanwhile, Visaggio compared House of the Bloodaxe to a Shakespearean tragedy writing. It's all extremely personal, a family in conflict with its patriarch who is in conflict with himself at a moment when they need to be united. It's a story about failure and the consequences of failure. Titan Comics debuted 3 preview pages revealing a further look at Shasu. The first look features a man wielding a bow, walking through a hot desert and encountering the hunt of an alien creature. At the same time, the Bloodaxe family and the village's inhabitants appear to be having a tense meeting inside their base of operations. And there's the page. Very, it could be Tatooine if it weren't for the trees. Very good. Some sort of alien beast. Beast from the Lager of Lamotte commercials. 10 points if you know what that's from. Hey, there's more. Look, and he's riding it now. It's not exactly amazing art, is it? I mean, it's okay. It's better than I could do. I'm not, I do like to draw a bit. It's better than I, but I've seen better comic art. But anyway, I mean that looks fine. That bit there, But I don't know though. There's something slightly off about it. I don't know. The style. Anyway, Titan Comics refers to Rebel Moon, House of the Bloodaxe as essential reading. For those wanting to know more about the story Zack Snyder is telling with his Netflix films, basically saying, buy the comic. Please buy the comic. You've got to buy it if you want to understand everything about the story. I hate it when they do that. Anyway, expanding into comics is a smart idea as it allows Snyder and co. to build on the galaxy seen in the film without worrying about budget constraints involved with filmmaking, simultaneously offering a new medium for storytelling with new creative voices added to the mix. Blah, blah, blah. Issue 1 features 4 different covers, to increase the sales potential. People will be, collectors will be forced now to buy 4 copies of each. blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but as I said, she's a striking lady. Is she going to be in the film then? I mean, there we go. So that's it. So yeah, I won't be getting it. I'll watch Rebel Moon on Netflix, but I won't be getting that comic. But I bet Windgrace is, because he's there. Look, hello, Windgrace. It's okay, I guess. Is it like Star Trek 2009? All of Nero's stories on the comic? Yes, it is. Yes, is it going to be like that, like Star Trek Countdown, where we to learn all the backstory for J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek, which I didn't mind. I didn't mind that comic. It's actually, I've got a video. I did like a motion comic version of it and added music and stuff. I think it's on my channel somewhere. I think. It's either on this channel or on my other one, my Mercury Rapids channel. I can't remember. But it's somewhere knocking about. If you want to have a look at that. Anyway, so I'm snuffling again. So there we go. But anyway, so there we go. Another a comic prequel to Rebel Moon is coming. And there's going to be two versions of Rebel Moon, isn't there, apparently? There's like a PG version, or PG-13 version or whatever, and an R-rated version. Which are they going to show first? Are they both going to be available immediately? Or are they going to just show the PG-13 version and then the R-rated one later? What? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. But I'm still going to watch it because I like Zack Snyder films as a rule. As a rule. Star Wars next. Hey, where are we? Oh, you're feeling better, Windgrace? Because she said on earlier on the Discord, the podcast Discord, and you said you weren't feeling very well. So I hope you're feeling better. Mate. Right, here we go. George Lucas didn't just miss the opening of Star Wars, he forgot it was happening. We're talking way back in 1977, by the way. Of course, there's Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin. But everybody in this picture is no longer with us. Well, maybe he is, I don't know. But Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia Organa and Dave Prowse as Lord Darth Vader. Felt horrible yesterday, but better today, but not great. Well, I hope you're resting and keep your fluids up. That's what they always said, don't they? Plenty of fluids. In the midnight hour, she cried, "Moon, moon, moon." Yes, she did. The Princess Leia. Anyway, right, where were we? Right, imagine if you will, grabbing a bite to eat in Hollywood in late May of 1977. I can't imagine that. Can't imagine that. You look across the street at the world-famous Chinese theatre, Grumman's. Was it Grumman's in 77? Don't know. As you're chewing on your cheeseburger and see a veritable circus, thousands of people lining up for some new movie called Star Wars. I'm sure there were people who had that experience and have a great story to tell their grandkids. But what many of them might not know is they shared that exact same experience with the guy who created Star Wars to begin with. George Lucas was straight up miserable by the time Star Wars came out. He didn't particularly think the movie was any good and was sure he failed to get his vision across after years of fighting studio execs, accountants, and his own imagination to get Star Wars across the finish line, with a lot of help from his wife and the other editors that won Oscars. But anyway, he was so exhausted and overworked, not just getting the movie ready for American audiences, but also overseeing the mixing for various formats. 70mm was a different mix than the usual 35mm prints because it could handle more audio tracks, as well as the mixers for foreign releases. He ended up in hospital, didn't he? Stress, overwork and stress. He thought he was having a heart attack. So he went to hospital. And it was stress. The only carrot at the end of the stick for Lucas was a planned Hawaiian vacation after he wrapped the movie out with Steven Spielberg, I do believe. He was on the beach, wasn't he, waiting for the numbers to come in, and that's when Indiana Jones was first posited. Steven Spielberg said he wanted to do a James Bond film, didn't he? And George Lucas says, "Oh no, I've got something better than that." And Indiana Jones was born, or Indiana Smith, as it was first called. And he was so focused on finishing those sound mixes and getting his butt to a relaxing beat that he just plain forgot his movie came out. And there's from the front of the Chinese theatre. That's obviously a shot from the making of Star Wars or something like that. One of the documentaries that they're always showing that on. Or Empire of Dreams, they showed it there, didn't they? The story goes that he took a break from overseeing the foreign sound mix and grabbed a bite to eat at Hamburger Hamlet, the iconic Hollywood eatery. Never heard of it. They used to be across Hollywood Boulevard from the Chinese theatre. It's sadly no longer there, but it was an institution for decades, and while Lucas was chowing down, he noticed something a little strange out the window. There was a huge line around the block at the Chinese theatre. I remember saying, "What's that?" I'd completely forgotten, and I couldn't really believe it. The masses showed up right away for Star Wars. What are they on about here now? Oh, the opening. I'm thinking that when they said the opening, I was thinking he missed the premiere, but no, it's the opening for the public is on about, isn't it? The masses showed up right away for Star Wars, which was a big surprise for Lucas. I can't imagine being that guy at that point in his life as his baby is released to the world to immediate and overwhelming acclaim, especially if you consider just how down on himself Lucas was at that particular moment. But to say he didn't have any, he didn't think it'd be a success. Obviously, Fox did. I mean, look at all this bloody thing here, big Star Wars stuff going on. So obviously the studio probably, obviously thought it were going to be a success because they did push it, didn't they? It were everywhere when I were a kid. But they want a huge queue. And I remember going to see it at the cinema back in 70s, well, early 78 when I went to see it. Because it didn't open in the UK till January 1978. But I went to see it and they want a huge queue. That's a longer queue. I went later on in the year. I went to see Grease, and the queue for that was that really went round the block. But want a queue for Star Wars for some reason. But anyway, but show up they did. Star Wars was an instant success, and that weekend kicked it all off. One more fun bit of trivia about this weekend. In attendance was Playboy's Hugh Hefner. He took many of his models to see the movie and was one of its earliest and most vocal fans. In another bit of symmetry, years later, Supreme Leader Snoke in The Force Awakens would be modelled after Hefner, robe and all. As Lucas might say, that's like poetry, it rhymes. I can't do an impression of him. But there we go. So he forgot all about it. We're eating a cheeseburger and noticed it must have been opening day, and they were queuing round the block to watch his film. And the rest is history, and it is an amazing film. Not the special edition, proper Star Wars. Proper Star Wars is best. I don't watch the special editions now. I've got the what they call them, despecialized versions. I just watch those. Although the Empire Strikes Back special edition isn't too bad, but the others, forget it. Anyway, congrats on getting that. Yes, it was him. I recorded him saying that. Oh dear. Right, let's move on. What's next? RoboCop Rogue City. Right, that's what's next. Oh dear, some snuffling. Right, RoboCop Rogue City creators cancel Nintendo Switch release. Or did they cancel it all, but it just never on the cards? I can't imagine it being on the cards, to be honest. Because this Nintendo Switch is not the most powerful of machines, is it? Yeah, I've got one there. Keep saying no. Never play it. RoboCop Rogue City from Teon and Nakon, I don't know how you pronounce it, is still releasing very soon on November 2nd, but the same can't be said for the game's Nintendo Switch version. The RoboCop Rogue City creators have quietly cancelled plans to release the game on that platform, with the game now scheduled to release on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, S, and PC platforms, which kind of says to me that it wouldn't have been very good on the Switch, because the Switch is not even as powerful really as a PlayStation 4, is it? And an Xbox One, because it's tiny. It can't be as powerful as them, so it wouldn't be able to handle the graphics. because there isn't going to be a PlayStation 4 release or Xbox One release of RoboCop Rogue City. So, but anyway, this cancellation of the Nintendo Switch version follows more than one delay that pushed the game back past its originally scheduled release window of June 2023. Those delays happened just as quietly as the news of the Switch release, or lack thereof, too. News of the scrap Nintendo Switch release was shared within the comments of some social media posts from the game's official accounts. No other platforms have been impacted at this time. And there's a thing. Still no update or mention of the Switch version. Is it canned? Just come out and tell us. And then a chap says, at this moment, we don't have any plans for a Nintendo Switch release. And I'm not surprised. The official RoboCop Rogue City Twitter account hasn't said anything about the cancelled Switch version, but RoboCop fans found out about the latest development regardless via the game's Facebook page in a post talking about how many people played the Steam demo. Steam's demo, not Switch. Steam demo. Someone asked if in the comments if there were any updates on the Nintendo Switch release, since not much had been heard about that recently. Quote, at this moment, we don't have any plans for a Nintendo Switch release, the Facebook page's owners said in a response to the user's question. That's not exactly a nail in the coffin for the Nintendo Switch version, since the Nintendo's console routinely gets games later than other platforms, but the Switch version definitely isn't going to be releasing alongside the other platforms come November 2nd. There were those in the comments who questioned whether a Switch version had ever even been announced, considering how quietly all these decisions have been made overall. But whatever the plans are now, there were definitely intentions for a Switch version at some point. There's a Switch version of another game, isn't there, that came out for like PS4 and PS5 and them. And I can't remember what it was now, but the Switch version apparently looks awful. Apparently. I can't remember what it was now. They did like comparing graphics. Anyway, the first gameplay trailer for the game confirms as much, with the Switch version absent from the YouTube description for some reason, but included in the final scene from the trailer. Don't know what I mean. Peter Weller, the star of the original RoboCop movie, is involved in the game as he reprises his role as the protagonist. So if you're still planning on getting the game on one of the planned platforms, you'll have a performance from him to look forward to. Back in the summer, comicbook.com was able to go hands-on with the RoboCop Rogue City game, see if it was a true-to-film experience. RoboCop moves like a tank while taking little damage and dishing out plenty in return, which, based on the reception to the game so far, is exactly what RoboCop fans were hoping for. Oh, that's it. There we go. So, no Switch version, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Does that mean, let's say I didn't understand that, does it mean it didn't mention it during the trailer, but at the very end, on like a title card or something at the end, it said Switch on it or something, or it had the Switch logo, maybe, I don't know. Included in the final scene, I don't know. Is it in here? So we have a look. Like, that's a gameplay reveal. It's not the trailer, is it? Anyway, whatever. So it's not going to be on Nintendo, but I wouldn't have got it on that anyway. Dear. Right, let's move on. Let's fire through these stories. Doctor Who next. See, we're all over the place. We've got the lot. Go away. Not you, the pop-up thing. Right, Doctor Who unveils new look at David Tennant's sonic screwdriver. Right. Pop-ups. Doctor Who spoilers follow. Doctor Who has unveiled another look at David Tennant's revamped sonic screwdriver ahead of the highly anticipated 60th anniversary specials. In a post shared on the Doctor Who Instagram, Tennant's 14th Doctor, 10th, can be seen in action with the famous tool, while Donna Noble, Catherine Tate, and her mum Sylvia, Jacqueline King, look on in the background. What could the Doctor be doing with that? The caption reads, and there it is. There it is. You don't get a good look at it, do you? It looks small, doesn't it? But there we go. They're up in the attic, aren't they? The loft, or whatever you want to call it. Is it his sonic screwdriver? You know, or is it something else? I don't know. 'Cause it looks little, doesn't it? You know, he's holding it daintily, isn't it? Maybe it is. I don't know. Fans quickly weighed in on the image and its caption with one person joking, trying to decipher the release date. Why is there a clue in there somewhere? I don't know. Oh, what he's doing with it. Oh, right, that's what he's doing with it. He's trying to decipher the release date. Right, okay, sorry. Tell you, I'm slow. Another fan added that they hope that the Sonic screwdriver does wood since he's surrounded by it in this photo. I don't get it. Noting that the Sonic screwdriver is famously unable to work on wooden objects. Oh, right, I don't know. Did it? Right. Wait, that big reveal from a month or two ago wasn't for his? I don't know. I can't remember. Did they show a Sonic screwdriver? I can't still remember. No, it was Shooty Gatwas, wasn't it? That we saw for the 15th Doctor. We saw his Sonic screwdriver, didn't we? That was for his, I think. I'm sure it was. For the 15th Doctor. I think that was going to be Shooty's sonic screwdriver. And I didn't know a sonic screwdriver didn't work on wooden objects, but that kind of makes sense, really, doesn't it? It's for electronics, isn't it? That's what it's for. Earlier this year, the BBC unveiled the new screwdriver in its entirety. This is what you're on about now, revealing a glossy silver body complete with gold trim and a blue sonic globe. I thought that was for the 15th Doctor. Anyway, I don't know. The sonic screwdriver has long been the famous Time Lord's preferred tool, helping him and his companions escape several tricky situations and bypass locks by modifying various electronic devices. Tennant is set to return to his iconic role for the 3 anniversary specials later this year. It's not long now, it's next month, before handing the TARDIS keys to Shooty Gatwa's 15th Doctor. Tennant was also recently announced as the host of an upcoming BBC4 documentary to celebrate Doctor Who ahead of its major milestone. Premiering on Wednesday, November 1st, the new show will see the actor. So maybe that's one of the dates that Russell T Davies were on about last week. The new show will see the actor talk about his experience playing the Doctor and will feature archive interviews from previous Time Lords, including William Hartnell and Sylvester McCoy. Will they have his spoons? Doctor Who returns later in 2023 on BBC One in the UK and Disney Plus elsewhere. Meanwhile, in the US, the show airs on BBC America with series 1 to 12 available on Max. And from November the 1st, all the ones that they've got, classic Doctor Who's going on the iPlayer, isn't it? Apart from An Unearthly Child. Because the writer's son is greedy and wants money. Right, let's move on. Back to Star Wars again now. I was going to mention this. I don't know if it was last time or the time before. This is a story that's been around, let's say about a week, something like that, about Matthew Vaughn wanting to remake Star Wars. And all the headlines at the time was Matthew Vaughn wants to remake Star Wars. And I thought, I won't cover it because it's just his pipe dream. But everybody's like weighed in on it now, so I thought, sod it. It's a Hollywood Reporter. Matthew Vaughn would want to remake original Star Wars movies with new cast. Let's bring it on. Why are the characters so hallowed that from 1977 you can't redo it for a new audience, the filmmaker said. I think Disney plan on remaking Star Wars. Anyway, X-Men First Class director Matthew Vaughn has some ideas for another popular franchise. The filmmaker would be interested in rebooting the original Star Wars films with a full, fresh set of actors playing Luke Skywalker. Don't say Mark Hamill. Played Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Darth Vader. Previously portrayed by those, and Dave Prowse. For me, doing a Star Wars movie is to play with the characters that I loved, he said on a recent episode of the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. If they said to me, do you want to reboot Star Wars and actually have Luke Skywalker, Solo, and Vader, and do your version of it, everyone would say, you're an idiot to try, but that would excite me. Why are the characters so hallowed that from 1977 that you can't redo it for a new audience? Obviously not a fan, is he? He explained that Star Wars is the Skywalker family, and he feels like Lucasfilm and Disney have sort of strayed from that original group of people. Pardon me. And that's where he thinks they've gone wrong. He shared that to him, the TV shows are still good, but the franchise is missing an epic new film. But the TV shows aren't good, are they? Not recently. That's what I would do, he said. Everyone is going to go batshit crazy, but let's bring it on. If you want a new generation, make the movie for them. The old generation, hopefully you'll make it well enough that they go, oh, okay, I'm enjoying it. As long as you don't massacre it. But I'd like to remake Star Wars. Boom! Extra story for us. Yeah. Yeah. But, if they did it without, as I said, without massacring the original story or the spirit of Star Wars and keep it in that style, then, fair enough. But I think the only reason Disney would remake Star Wars is to cast new actors that they could use again in new stories rather than having to keep doing the deep fakes of Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, etc. Anyway, but Vaughn likely won't be getting an opportunity anytime soon to remake the original films, as Kathleen Kennedy told Vanity Fair last year that Lucasfilm is focused on expanding George Lucas's universe beyond the Skywalker saga, and is. Hope you didn't hear that there. That my stomach gurgling really loud. And he's not planning to tell new stories with new actors playing the iconic characters. Her comments came after a negative reception to Solo: A Star Wars Story, where they had a new actor playing an iconic character. I didn't actually mind it that much, Solo: A Star Wars Story. Bits of it were annoying, how we got his name. It was a bit beige. But as an adventure, it was fine. We also can't do something with Luke Skywalker that isn't Mark Hamill, she said in the interview. We're not going to suddenly go try to do that. I don't understand this fascination or this with the actors rather than. I say I didn't mind him recasting Han Solo, a younger Han Solo, rather than having Harrison Ford. I don't understand why they've got to do this deep fake with what a younger Mark Hamill. Why can't they just cast somebody that looks a bit like him, or a lot like him, if they want a younger one? But I don't understand this pedestal that they put the Star Wars actors upon. And Marvel's kind of got into that a bit as well, for some reason, particularly with Black Panther. But anyway, where were we? Right, up next for Vaughn, however, isn't a new Star Wars film. It's ensemble pick Argyle, starring, I've no idea how to pronounce that, Dua Lipa, Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard. Speaking of Star Wars, Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston, Catherine O'Hara, John Cena. Still want to know how he's getting away with working in WWE, but never mind. Ariana DeBose and Samuel L. Jackson. The thriller follows Cavill's Argyle, a fictional super spy created by writer Ellie Conway Howard, whose life is turned upside down when her new book hits a little too close to the real life of actual spies who hunt her down when they read it. I'm sure I've seen something similar to that before. Sounds very, doesn't sound original. I'm sure I've seen that in a film or a TV show or something. Probably a film. Anyway, Argyle hits theatres February 2nd, 2024. Yeah, anyway, so there we go. Yeah, I don't know. If you want to remake it. I don't understand this. Why you put these particular actors, nobody else can play them characters. I don't know why people say that. But they tried it with Solo, didn't they? And obviously it didn't work because it lost money. But then again, it did cost $80 bazillion to make because they essentially reshot it, didn't they? And in its entirety. Anyway, hello, Ishii YT. Right, so let's move on. What's next? Sticking with Star Wars, we are. Hang on, before we start. I think there was a Kevin James movie. There was a spy author who got pulled into the world of actual spies because of his books. I don't know. It does ring a bell. I've seen it somewhere before. I saw something similar. But I can't place it. I can't place it. Variations on the theme. There's nothing original under the sun, is there, these days? Anyway. Right, moving on. The Holy Grail moment that gave Star Wars its iconic lightsaber design. There's Luke in Return of the Jedi, just as he gets his lightsaber on the skiff from the saber, and as R2 fires it into the air and he catches it, doesn't he? And ignites it. Right, George Lucas's Star Wars was a whole cloth piece of world building inspired by gee whiz sci-fi serials like Flash Gordon. He originally wanted to make Flash Gordon, but couldn't get the rights. Is it public domain now? I don't know. Lucas, not Star Wars, Flash Gordon. Lucas envisioned a sprawling saga that would stretch over multiple chapters. There was just one problem: the technology required to bring his vision to fruition didn't exist. If you're any kind of Star Wars fan, you know about John Dykstra's revolutionary motion control camera, the Dykstra Flex, a pioneering piece of equipment that allowed Lucas to pull off the climactic trench run. You're also most certainly aware of how Rick Baker and Stuart Freeborn conjured up their groundbreaking creature effects, and they were never happy with them, apparently, in the cantina scene and all that. That was Rick Baker and Stuart Freeborn doing all that, and they were never happy with it, which is why mucked about with it in the special editions, putting a bloody elephant in instead of that werewolf. Stupid. I thought they were fine. The creature effects I thought they were good in the canteen. I don't know why we're never satisfied with it. Anyway, but do you know the story of how the lightsaber, the Jedi weapon of choice, was discovered? While Lucas's idea for the lightsaber was brought to vivid life by the brilliant conceptual designer Ralph McQuarrie, he had stormtroopers using them, didn't he? In his concept art, someone had to either build or find the saber. That someone was art director Roger Christian, who I think would go on to direct Battlefield. Is it Battlefield Earth? Is that Battlefield Earth? Yes, yes. Roger Christian. I've got to just check now. Yes, it was. Yes, I thought it was. Flash Gordon is partially in the public domain, so probably too complicated to make sure the part you are using is or isn't. All that better. Just wonder with it being so old, like Buck Rogers as well, and all that. Speaking of the old serials, the other day I was watching. I'm going to have to get back to it and carry on watching it because it's all on YouTube. King of the Rocket Men. You remember that one? That's been watching that. Brilliant, and it had a bit in it that I thought, I bet that inspired the bit in Misery where she's getting angry about the car goes over the cliff, the cliffhanger ending. The car goes over the cliff and explodes. Then the next episode, it shows them getting out of the car before it goes over the cliff, and she gets angry, doesn't she? There's Kathy Bates' character. They didn't get out the cock-a-doodle car. But anyway, that's enough of that. The King of the Rocket Men, watch it. It's on YouTube. Where were we? That someone was art director, Roger Christian, director of Battlefield Earth. and if you watch that, I've got it on DVD. I actually don't mind Battlefield Earth. It's stupid, but it's kind of fun. If you watch it with the commentary, he's always banging on about Star Wars. Now we wanted it to be like Star Wars, and it wasn't. He found it in the most unlikely place. Can we see the wire? In one of these shots, you can see the wire, can't you, going from his lightsaber to the battery pack or whatever. Anyway, in an interview included in Titan Books' Star Wars Icons of the Galaxy, edited by Jonathan Wilkins, Christian related the story of stumbling upon the lightsaber in the London photographic shop Brunnings. According to Christian, I asked David French, the manager of the shop, if they had any old or damaged equipment I could buy for a movie I was working on. He pointed me to boxes of equipment that had obviously lain untouched for years. I started rummaging through them and found old lenses and rangefinders, pulling out anything I thought might be useful. Then I discovered one old box under the others, covered in dust. If it were under the others, why were it covered in dust? Covered in dust that had obviously not been opened in years. That box contained what Christian described as several silver tube-like objects with red buttons set into the handles. Not red buttons standing by. Sorry. He'd found the goods, per Christian. I pulled one out, amazed. They actually looked like Ralph McQuarrie's paintings of the lightsaber. Somehow, I was at the moment of finding the Holy Grail. I bet he picked it up and he went, "Ah," glowing round it. Even the red firing button seemed perfectly designed for a lightsaber handle. I held one in my hand. It was the right weight and size. I had found the treasure that was eluding me, and I knew exactly what to do with it as I headed straight back to L3 Studios. Yeah, but what was it? What was the? Maybe it tells us later, because as usual, I've not read these articles. Right. Christian applied black rubber T-strips to the tube to emulate the hilt, then added LED lights from an old Texas Instruments calculator to complete the illusion. Still not saying what they were originally. What were they originally then? I don't know. It ain't saying, is it? Maybe it says in the book. I don't know. All he had to do was place the strip onto the contraption, at which point his work was done. I superglued the plastic strip onto the Graflex, and there, before my eyes, was Luke's lightsaber. Excuse me. Oh, cracking, let me have a drink. Yes, bear with me. I placed a strip of chrome tape around the shaft to hide the Graflex name. Oh, right. Oh, so is that what it was? What's a Graflex then? So I'm going to have to look this up now. What the heck is a Graflex? In Grace will know. It'd be like telling me, Oh, hang on. I saw a picture of one then. There we go. The Graflex shop. Right, okay. Okay, what is it then? Go away. I mean, they do sell lightsabers now, it looks like it. I don't know what it is. What is it? They've got a website. Go away. See, it won't let me sell it. Oh, Pete's sake, never mind. That's their website, Graflex website. The Graflex shop specializes in manufacturing the Graflex 3-cell flash gun, made famous by Star Wars 1977 as Luke's lightsaber. All right, so it's a flash gun. Graflex was known for the quintessential press camera. Right. So it's a photographic thing. Right. Okay. Right. See, told you. No, looks like a flash bulb arm from an old school camera. See, told you no. Anyway, and then added a small D-ring so it could hang from a belt. The elegant weapon, for a more civilized age, was finally ready to make its on-screen debut in Obi-Wan Kenobi's hut. The rest is Hollywood history. Nowadays, lightsabers are brought to sizzling life via CG, but once upon a time, you had to have a practical prop on set to get the audience to buy in. Throw in Ben Burt's sound design, and you've got the coolest sci-fi sword in film history. Yes, originally, in the original film, it was that's why you had a wire going from it, because it had a rotating pole that they wrapped in, what they call it, that reflective, what they make cinema screens out of. It's got a name, I can't remember. They wrapped it in that, and it spun, which why it shimmered slightly and just shone light on it. That's what it did. It were all on in camera. Originally back in 77, proper in camera effects, and it made a lot of noise. It made a lot of noise. Anyway, so there you go. So Roger Christian, he created the lightsaber from a Graflex flash gun thingamabob. But there we go. Right, next. Fascinating. What's next? Oh, speaking of how lightsabers came about, let's have a little discussion about warp speed. Why not? I just saw it and I thought, sod it. Let's talk about warp speed. Star Trek, how fast is warp speed exactly? And he's saying, as fast as I want it to be. That's what he's saying. Star Trek fans are well accustomed to hearing Starfleet captains give the order to travel at maximum warp, but what exactly does that mean? The intergalactic storytelling, sometimes it is, but not often, In the Star Trek franchise, more intergalactic storytelling in Stargate, to be completely honest, is enabled by the futuristic invention of faster-than-light travel, with starships able to cross impossibly vast distances of space in the time it takes for a commercial break. But for fans who've wondered how fast warp speed actually is, things start out relatively, pun intended, simple. The way warp works is the complex part. Basic warp speed, also referred to as warp 1, is exactly the speed of light. Or as scientists would say, c. I don't know why c is the speed of light, it just is. That's approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. Anything below that speed is described on board a Starfleet vessel as a fractional, but the scale isn't linear. So it goes up in orders of magnitude, doesn't it? Which makes things trickier to calculate at any speed other than a flat warp 1. The best scale to use is the one from Star Trek The Next Generation, by which point there was an actual mathematical formula in use to calculate warp speeds. By that scale, a warp factor of 0.5 is only about 1/10 the speed of light. But technically, I don't know. Although they did say warp 0.5 in the motion picture, I don't think that's a speed, though. I don't think that. I don't know. Because below warp speed, you're traveling at impulse, aren't you? And the impulse engines are totally different to the warp engines. So you're traveling at impulse, and maximum impulse speed is, they say, I read in the manual, 1/4 the speed of light. So, anyway. While warp 5 is 213.7 times faster than light. I don't know why they got warp factor 0.5. I know he did say it in the motion picture. He said ahead warp 0.5, but that's impulse, isn't it? See, he's educating us again. See, from the Latin for celerity, which means quick. See, knows everything. Knows everything. He's the Stephen Fry of the old Yorkshire Geeks news. Oh dear. As seen in many Star Trek episodes, the laws of space-time start to break down entirely once warp 10 is reached, which were famously done in the episode. I've got the name of the episode now. Oh God, I liked it anyway. I liked that episode of Voyager where they broke warp 10 and Tom Paddis and Captain Janeway turned into salamanders for some reason. Anyway, warp 10 gets defined as infinite speed, which means anything travelling at it would occupy threshold. Yes, that's the one, threshold. Thank you, Wingrace. Warp 10 gets defined as infinite speed, which means anything travelling at it would occupy all points in space at the same time. Even in science fiction, there must be a limit somewhere. Faster than light travel isn't possible with current technology and may not be possible at all. The speed of light, 300,000 kilometers per second, 286,000 to, I used to know it as well. 1,000 miles per second, in it. 286,392. But I can't remember what it was now. I used to know it. It's thought to function as a sort of cosmic speed limit. Nothing with mass can travel at that speed or faster, with light being the exception, since it has no weight. It does though, doesn't it? Does it? Photons have weight. They have mass, don't they? As Einstein proved, this simple rule holds the fabric of space and time together. So how does the warp drive in Star Trek circumvent this apparent law of nature? Who needs warp when you have mushrooms? Yes, exactly. The mycelial network. As astrophysicist Eddie McDonald explained on the Star Trek YouTube channel, just because nothing can travel faster than the speed of light on the surface of space-time, nothing says that space-time itself can't go faster than the speed of light. But how does a warp engine use that loophole in the laws of physics to accomplish faster than light travel? By generating a field of energy that warps the space-time around a starship. Said MacDonald, the idea with warp drive is that you build a bubble of space-time around your ship, and then that propels you faster than the speed of light. These bubbles are called warp fields. It says, no, it doesn't propel you faster than the speed of light, though, does it? It warps space. It pulls your destination towards you. and stretches out where you're coming from behind you. So you're doing that without the relativistic problems of time dilation, stuff like that, and the ship is actually not going faster than light. It looks as though it is, but it isn't actually. Anyway, this is also how different warp factors can be achieved. A single warp field causes a starship to travel at warp 1, but adding an additional bubble around the first causes even more acceleration, warp 2, 3, and so on. Eventually, you get to the point where you wrap all of space and time around your ship, and that you can think of as warp factor 10, McDonald said. I take her word for it. And there's Ephraim Cochrane getting ready to launch the Phoenix with his looking for his tape, his little music thing with Magic Carpet Ride. There's a great book that explains the Starfleet Delta is the visual representation of how warp works. All right, very good. Very good. But it only applied to the Enterprise then, because in the original Star Trek, it was just the Enterprise's logo, essentially. Although they did use it for other ships occasionally, but as a rule, it was only the Enterprise's logo, wasn't it? It wasn't the Starfleet logo. Anyway, whatever. The invention of warp technology is well documented in Star Trek lore. In the franchise's fictional history, Earth went through a dark period between the late 1900s and the mid-21st century. They moved it on. First, the eugenics wars ravaged the planet, though its dates have been retconned. It used to be in the 1990s, and now in Strange New Worlds, they've moved it into the early 21st century somewhere. Next, starting in the early to mid-2020s, World War III broke out following a period of economic collapse. We see the beginnings of this during Star Trek Picard Season 2. But in the post-atomic wastelands of the period that followed, a scientist named Ephraim Cochrane managed to engineer the first warp-capable ship. What happened to that bit as well? That they mentioned in Encounter at Farpoint, where they killed all the lawyers and all that. The post-atomic horror. So I don't know. Obviously, that happened before the war. I don't know. Anyway, the movie Star Trek First Contact tells the story of what happened next, visited by Captain Picard, Patrick Stewart, and the crew of the Enterprise after they travel through a temporal vortex created by the Borg. Cochrane finishes his work on the warp drive. On April 5th, 2063, he takes it on the maiden voyage, and they still want to know what's powering it. So obviously, in Starfleet ships, they use matter and antimatter, but I don't think the Phoenix used matter and antimatter, did it? I don't think it did. Did it have just like a nuclear-powered engine or something? I don't know. Anyway, and somehow he got it up to nearly the speed of light, didn't he? So they were saying it was getting faster and faster. Then it broke the warp barrier. It didn't actually just go to warp 1. I don't understand it. I don't think they did either. On April 5th, 2063, he takes it on the maiden voyage. This triggers the attention of nearby Vulcans, who, realizing a new species has become interplanetary, visit Earth to introduce themselves to humanity, although some Vulcans had landed on Earth in the 1950s, as we saw, which was to Paul's great-grandmother, I think it was. In the Star Trek universe, April 5th is celebrated across the Federation as First Contact Day, and many fans join in on the fun in real life by honouring the holiday. More than the time to celebrate Star Trek, it's a day to celebrate what the franchise represents, the hope for a future where humanity warps past our petty quarrels to unite with a shared sense of curiosity and exploration. Although I think if it happened now, it'd probably more be like the opening to the Enterprise episodes in the Mirror Darkly, whereas rather than making friends with the Vulcans, we just kill them and steal the ship and all the technology. I think that's what happened in real life. But anyway, so there you go. So that's warp travel. That's how warp speed works. It goes up in orders of magnitude. It's not warp 1 is the speed of light, and warp 2 is twice the speed of light. Don't work like that. It goes up in orders of magnitude, which is why like warp 9 and warp 9.9, the difference is massive between, in the speeds. But anyway, 50% of people wouldn't believe they were really aliens. No, they wouldn't. They said they were demons or something, or holograms. Project Blue Beam. Don't get me started. We did conspiracies the other day, didn't we? Was it yesterday? Yesterday, wasn't it? Anyway, right. Let's move on. I think I've nearly done, actually. I think we're nearly there. So a shortish show today. Oh no, I've got another story. One that actually just made me laugh, and I'm just including this because it made me laugh because it's Ryan Reynolds just taking the mickey. Ryan and the Deadline taking it seriously for some reason. Ryan Reynolds, your kids know Scab. Turns out SAG-AFTRA's studio Halloween costume ban is adults only. I just thought this was hilarious. Anyway, there will be peace in Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's house after all this Halloween. Blake Lively's Ryan Reynolds' lovely wife. None of the Green Lantern co-stars' children will be labelled scabs by their father while they trick or treat, thanks to costume guidance clarification by SAG-AFTRA this evening. I'd just tell SAG-AFTRA to sod off. I'm going out for Halloween. I'll dress how I bloody well want, whatever costume I want. Anyway, SAG-AFTRA issued Halloween guidance in response to questions from content creators and members about how to support the strike during this festive season. Halloween, a festive season now, is it? A guild spokesperson said Friday, as the de facto ban on costumes was widely mocked and derided, this was meant to help them avoid promoting struck work. Struck work. You mean work during the strike? It's not struck, is it? And it is the latest in a series of guidelines we have issued. As I said, I'll tell them to sod off, I would. It does not apply to anyone's kids, SAG-AFTRA is now stating. And the thing is, this is his tweet. I look forward to screaming scab at my 8-year-old girl, at my 8-year-old all night. She's not in the union, but she needs to learn. And I just thought that were hilarious. I just thought it was really funny. And they've been forced to clarify it because they were taking the mickey out of it, basically. But and there you go. They've issued SAG-AFTRA their guidelines, and I'd just say sod off. I'm dressing up. If I want to dress up as Captain America or Captain Marvel or something that's coming out soon, I'd just do it. I'm not promoting the show. I'm going out trick or treating with my kid, or I'm going to a party and getting drunk and laid, etc. So there you go. I won't read all the rest because it's stupid. Don't get me started. Right, we'll leave that there. I just thought it was funny that Ryan Reynolds wants to scream scab at his daughter. I just thought it was funny. I can imagine him doing it as well. Anyway, let's go back right to the Phoenix. According to online sources, Phoenix used nuclear fusion. A nuclear fusion warhead detonated in a fuel-rich sphere with the plasma directed into the nacelles by a brute force magnetic impeller. Right, okay. So that's how it worked, is it? Okay. So, no, didn't have impulse engines. Brute force got it up to warp speed, essentially. But it didn't have to. I don't know why they were sort of like accelerating up to speed of light in it. I don't understand. You create a warp field and you go to warp 1, don't you? You know, it's like instantly, so to speak. You know, you create your warp field. The ship isn't accelerating to warp. It just goes to warp, doesn't it? It's pulled into which is why it seems to stretch away, because it's been from the viewpoint of an external viewer. It gets stretched away, doesn't it? Because it's warping space, not actually moving. I don't know. Anyway, right. So finally, a scary video to watch. This one's from Nuke's Top 5 because it's Halloween, Spooktober, etc. Oh, pardon me. With a scary vid to watch. So a ghosty one. Just bear with me while I get it to shush. Let me go back a little bit. Just bear with me. Trying to be delicate. Near enough. Right, so this one is called The Thing from the Cave. It's a Japanese ghosty video. apparently, it'll tell you, just watch the vid. Some chaps went into a cave where an alleged ghost photo was taken and spooky stuff happened to them. Right, so off we go. I'll have to mute it because there might be an echo. So I will add that and mute.
Japanese paranormal investigators Gachan, Daichan, and Yasuke are contacted by one of their viewers about a bizarre picture they took in an allegedly haunted cave in Fukuoka Prefecture, Japan. The picture shows what appears to be a woman peeking from a rock inside the caves. The location is said to be a paranormal hotspot, and many visitors claim to have seen the mysterious apparition of a lady dressed all in white. It's late at night when the clip store team carefully make their way deep underground into the cave system to search for the spot where the photo was taken.
安助さん気をつけてね。滑るよ。
石、巨大な石を下に落とすとこ。
やめて。
マジ膝限界でさ、なんか和式トイレでトイレしたときこんな感じじゃない？
ああ、
マジ。え、ちょっと左側。どうかな。え、石、ここや、ここや。
石あるもんね。
ほら。こんな感じじゃない。あ、だね、だね。
ああ、そうそうそう。
え、ちょっとうわ、気持ち悪い。てか、無理。人が、だって、ガッチャンそんな足とか出してんじゃん。とにかく、ここですね。
The clip store team manages to find the exact location of the photo. But now, with all three members so cramped in such a tiny cave tunnel, Yasuke and Daichan decide to head back out and wait in the car. Gachan stays behind to listen and look for anything strange. Gachan has been in the dark cave for about 20 minutes when this happens.
Eh? 声せんやった今。ちょっと待って、マジ。ちょっととりあえず、続けるか。いや、怖いな、普通に。
While sitting in the dark, Gachan is a little freaked out when he suddenly hears what sounds like a woman crying from somewhere deep within the caves. Meanwhile, waiting back in the car, Yasuke and Daichan also experience something terrifying.
大ちゃん初めてやったけど、どうだった ?13 です。
いや、結構ね、やっぱなんていうかな、やっぱ寒気まあ、その、洞窟っていうのもあるけど、やっぱそこがすごいよね。
そうね。なんか雰囲気が違うもんね、やっぱ。
ね。
うん。あと、コウモリエグかったね。
あ、よかったね。
いや、前来た時ね、全部冬眠しとったけん、上にくっついとるだけやったんやけど、今日ずっと終始飛び回りよったけんさ、マジ地獄やったね。
いや、本当に。
うん。
いや、結構ね、過酷。
なんでよ、もう。今、コンコン言ったね。やばくない？車揺れたよ、今。
Did you see it? Someone can be seen sitting right outside the passenger seat window, just watching Daichan and Yasuke. Then there are two loud bangs, one from the back of the car and one from the front. As the camera pans back toward the passenger window, we can see that the creepy figure seems to have disappeared. But that's not all that happened that night, because early on, back in the caves, there was something else. While the clip store team are all climbing down the rocks, their viewers pointed out that something else might have been there with them. Watch again very closely.
ちょっと待ってね。
Someone or something can be seen moving up above them, as if following them down into the caves. But the clip store guys don't see or hear anything. So could it be that they had an encounter with the strange apparition of the woman in white that haunts this area? Let me know what you think. You can watch this entire investigation over on the YouTube channel Clip Store.
I found that interesting because might not be real. You don't know, do you? Let's go back and look at some stuff. Like I said, they're seeing somebody here. It could just be somebody else, couldn't it, with them? But it shows it there. But you do kind of get the impression that it is somebody with long black hair and a white dress, which is your typical Japanese lady ghost, isn't it? So scary. He needed to have surgery. Yes, because he had his mask on. Yes. Yes. Then I need to have emergency surgery. They always think up these weird titles for these videos, don't they? Is it for the algorithm? I've no idea. But yeah, it could all be set up. You don't know. But and the where are we? The chap in the car. I said that could have just been somebody there, couldn't it? Knocking on the car, which is what they heard, and the voices, the crying in the cave. They could have put that on afterwards, for all we know. I don't know, but I like to think it is real. But take it with a grain of salt. But I just thought I'd share that one because it's a more up to date one, and I do kind of like it. But there are better ones out there, right? So that's it. That's your lot for today. We've done. Right, so we'll leave it there. What's coming up? Monday, tomorrow, we're doing, on Magnificent Mondays, we're doing, maybe it's a lizard person. By the way, there's a new Y-Files thing out in there about the electric universe. It is an interesting video, although I don't think he believes it. But anyway. Tomorrow we're doing Troll Hunter on Magnificent Mondays. Great film, found footage film in Norwegian. There is an English dub, but I don't watch that because I find that distracting. Sometimes I find dubs more distracting than reading subtitles. So that's for tomorrow. Right, so we'll call it a draw, and I shall exit stage left. Right, so thanks, Win Grace, for joining. Hope you do feel better and you're up to snuff for whatever you're doing next. Some video. You're still doing your Future Armor and Quantum Leap videos. 2 series which I don't watch. I'll have to get round to it. And of course, your Lower Decks videos, which are amazing. Anyway, there's an English dub to a baking show on Netflix. That baffles me. Oh dear. I want to do a Halloween Trek video if I have time. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? That'd be cool. Because there's a few Halloween episodes. What could be classed as Halloween episodes, isn't there? 1 or 2, anyway. Right. Obviously, Sub Rosa, because that's got a ghost in it, even though it's an alien. But it could be classed as a Halloween episode. And there's obviously the famous Cat's Paw from the original series. And there's got to be others, aren't there? There's got to be others from the other series. Voyager and Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. There's got to be Halloween episodes. Would the in Enterprise, would the Vulcan zombie one, would that be classed as a Halloween episode? Or just episodes that aired around Halloween. Maybe they don't have a Halloween feel to them. But if they aired around Halloween, would they be classed as Halloween episodes? I don't know. I'm waffling. Right. We'll leave it there. By the way, speaking of scary vids, let me just get this one up. Another, that's it. Nuke's Top 5. We've done Nuke's Top 5. Is probably the most famous ghost video person on YouTube. But another one that I watch and is up, I think, is up there with Nuke's Top 5 for interesting videos and videos that not everybody else shows. A lot of the other channels basically show all the same videos over and over. But one called Bizarre Bub. So let me share it. Make myself titchy tiny again. Here we go. Oh, you can't see it. But Bizarre Bub. He does interesting videos and presents them well. And so there we go. So check out Bizarre Bub. So there we go. You can't see him from my head. Just let me get rid of him. There you go. Check out Bizarre Bub. He does good vids. Right. Just thought I'd give him a plug. Right. So we'll leave it there. So anyway. Right. So thanks, Win Grace, for joining in. As I said, hope you feel better and get back to full health. Right. So thanks for watching, wherever you are. Look after each other. Until next time, I'll say